step into the light or the shadow it casts. A look in the mirror, stripping the mask. The ego deflects what the id wants to hide, but we find the truth on the edge of the slide. The void isn't empty, it's a canvas of gray, where the ghosts of our bias come out to play. You point at the monster, you point at the screen, but it's only a shadow that's being seen. We sit in the silence where the tension is rife, dissecting the ego with a surgical knife. From the depths of the abyss to the clarity of mind, leaving the noise and the drama behind. High etiquette, held as the ultimate key. This is the Short Burst Podcast TV. See the mirror for what it is. The progression begins now.
And greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Hit those buttons and help us grow, folks. The like, share, and subscribe button. Do it now.
Man up, slaves, and hit those buttons, or I'll send ice.
Okay. Yeah, what do we got going on tonight? Money saving electric options for off-grid living, even if you're on the grid. Again, in line with the premise for the Short Bus Podcast TV and its debate panel in regards to our current technologies and the way it's driving a lot of people to go to an off-grid lifestyle. And that, of course, means providing that electrical energy. And as I've mentioned before, be very careful with these generators and doing your electrical setups, and make sure you know what you're doing, or get a electrical professional to do it for you. Just make sure it's done right. This is very dangerous stuff if it's not done right. So let's get into it. We're going to take a look at let's see here. This is Oklahoma Off-Grid. Hit that subscribe, set up all notifications. Electric company can't shut this off. When we're just talking about simple backup generators for your homes. So the premise here is that if the city or county, however it's done in your area, is providing electric and that goes down, if the grid goes down, okay, and this is why we're talking about off-grid living and stuff, because if the grid goes down, are you prepared? Well, you can. And that's the epitome of your first and initial responsibility in the first place, is being able to provide these kinds of things for yourself, instead of being wholly dependent upon that almighty false patriarch. So let's get into it.
Expensive electric bill? Need a way to ease the pain? Check out this massive electricity backup system from a company called WattCycle. A system this size can actually power an entire house.
WattCycle. WattCycle. You can do a quick research. WattCycle. And what they've got is these home backup generators. And he's going to discuss about various different issues, including recharging the batteries, the size of the units, 12,000 volts, 18,000 volts, things like that. So pay attention. Great video. And again, if you can do this kind of stuff, it is kind of simple, but you have to know the dangers to make sure you know what you're doing first, so you do it absolutely correct. Otherwise, get yourself a professional to do it.
something that you could hook up yourself. You could use it for just a backup system, or you could just power the things in your house that you consider critical. This would be an ideal scenario for when your electricity goes out. Some people like me choose to run their entire house off of it. So let me show you a little bit about this system, and then we're going to install it. Come here. I'm like, geez, there's got to be an easier way. Here we are, the 12,000 watt inverter charger by WattCycle. This is a hybrid solar charger inverter. What does it do? Well, it's capable of putting out enough electricity to power most houses. If you want to wire something like this into your fuse box and into your house, you can. If you want to have something like this as a backup system in case the power goes out, you can. So how do you run a 48 volt inverter like this? Let me show you.
Why are you not investing in tax liens? No, seriously.
Seriously, don't pay attention to that. My apologies, but ad blocker does not work. It does in a sense, but then it turns around and does other things that I can't deal with on my platform. So yeah, sorry, we'll have to do the YouTube premium in order to get rid of these ads. So go ahead and feel free to share some love and hit that PayPal link, help out. Like I said, we're going through some financial hardships because of a constructive eviction here recently, and all is appreciated. Thank you kindly.
Is it just me, or is this system clean? I absolutely love WattCycle. They actually build one of my favorite server rack batteries. And now I have their massive inverter and 2 of their massive batteries. This is 30 kilowatt hours worth of batteries. It's the same as having 6 server rack batteries. We're going to quickly install this system, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is to have a backup system like this in your house. But first, let's zip this massive battery open and see if the quality is anything like the 100 amp hour server rack battery is. Now, I am maneuvering this around here on carpet, and it's not really that big of an issue, but don't kid yourself, this is a massive battery. Okay, some of the first things I'm taking notice of is these massive bus bars that are running off of the batteries here. The positive running here to the 375 amp breaker, and the negative running directly to the BMS. I see ring terminals here on the battery bus bars, which is always a plus. There is some room in between the batteries and the side of the box here, and it has these crushable or collapsible pieces of metal here, I guess, in case if you get hit in the side here, it doesn't directly hit the battery. It'll try to crush these first. It looks like it's down here on the bottom also. So that is a good safety feature. Also on this side here, I'm noticing down in here, we have a 450 amp breaker. And if you ever overloaded this battery and you fried the fuse there, they've given you an extra one that you can replace yourself. So that's a plus. It looks like all of the balance leads have a protective coating around the wiring. Everything is routed nice and neatly and out of the way. This battery quality does not surprise me, being that the 100 amp.
And I'll say that's normal when dealing with these electrical units, even regular household units. You should generally have a spare fuse or spare fuses on hand, because oftentimes that's a simple problem you can fix yourself.
Our server rack battery has the same type of quality. You have solid bus bars here going from the positive to positive to positive on the 4 terminals over here. You have the same thing going on over here on this terminal. Here's a protective cover, I guess, in case it gets smashed in at the back. The way the positive does not ground out against the case. And just like their server rack batteries, they have the pressure relief holes here. Stop. Overall, this looks like a great build, and I'm not surprised coming from WattCycle.
And folks, if you're going to be doing this because you're living off grid and stuff, it's imperative to understand that you get the tools needed to do these kind of things. If you're going to be doing them yourself, that goes to the repair end, as I mentioned with the fuses and stuff. Sometimes those repairs are a little bit deeper. So it goes to getting the tools of the trade for each individual thing that you're going to be doing off grid. This is the jack of all trades. It's imperative to understand that you have more than one talent. And if you can expand your mind, open your mind up to expanding those talents into other areas, all it takes is a little bit of learning. It's like I said, it's not really all that hard. It's just imperative to maintain a proper order of things so that you protect yourself against those dangerous hazards.
All right, I didn't show it when I went outside, and I beat this down with this crimper here on the concrete. It basically crimps this, puts an indentation in it. To me, this is like an old school crimper. They do have the hydraulic ones that make it a lot easier, but don't kid yourself, this still works. We're gonna hook the positive into the inverter and run it to the T-class fuse. From the T-class fuse, it's gonna go into the positive bus bar. Now, this is what you want. This is what you're looking for. Nice and clean. We have the 2-aught wire coming from the inverter, going into the T-class fuse, coming out of the T-class fuse, going into our 400 amp bus bars. Run the negative side up into the inverter. Attach it to the negative bus bar. Time to connect the positives that go to the batteries here to the bus bar also. You want to do the same thing with the negative. Now we can just push the quick connects onto the side of the batteries. Turn all the dip switches down. Run the communication from one battery to the other. And now run the RS-485 communication to the inverter.
Simple. I only pay 10.
So again, please be aware we're going through some hardships, and all financial help would be appreciated, even a little bit, just to get rid of these damn commercials. Thanks again.
Look at there, guys. Everything's powered up. Let's test the output real quick. 120.4, 120.4, 240. The voltage up here on the inverter is reading 120.1. It is very accurate. Let's check the DC. 52.7 down here, and we're showing 52.7 here. So the display screen here on this inverter is very accurate compared to the Klein meter here. So let me explain real quick what we did. We mounted our T-class fuse here, our positive bus bar here, negative bus bar here. We ran our positive wire to a T-class fuse, and then from the T-class fuse to the bus bar. And then we just ran the negative straight from the inverter to the bus bar here. Then we ran the negative from each battery to the negative side of the bus bar, and the positive from each battery to the positive side of the bus bar. Then we ran our communications from the in to the out, and then from the RS-485 to the RS-485 on the bottom of the inverter. And just like that, the watt cycle system powered up and is putting out power flawlessly. But since we're doing testing on the watt cycle here, and I already have a system that's running into my breaker box, we're just going to run it into this receptacle box here. Now what we have here is our $100 receptacle box. This is an 80 amp box. 20, 40, 60, 80. We'll be able to plug in somewhere around 80 amps max to this box, and we're going to run these wires directly into the inverter here. Now we have 4,000 watts worth of solar panels on the roof, and we're going to run those inputs into the PV1 here. This inverter is actually capable of taking in 9,000 watts of solar panels. And if you ordered this,
And so he's talking about the solar panel. So again, it goes to the tools now, everything else relevant. When you're living in the city and using this as a backup generator, you can have something to charge those batteries. Of course, you're going to need something to charge those batteries. But I imagine while you're using the city utilities, you could use the city utility to charge the batteries. So you wouldn't need another kind of like a gas generator for somebody that would technically be living off grid and doesn't have that initial city or community county provided electrical grid. And they have to have say another way of charging those batteries besides just solar. Say they run into a stretch where there's not enough sun that keeps them powered up enough to run everything they're running. Well, if you're living off grid, you might likely already have a gas operated generator that you would use somewhere on your little off grid unit there, aside from your house, away from your house. So this is a backup generator for the house, even if you're living on the grid, or your actual generator for the house if you're living off the grid. But again, the relative things needed beyond that depend on where you're at. In the city, you wouldn't necessarily need a gas generator or solar panels. You could use the actual grid already provided. Whereas if you're off grid, you've got multiple options, and it's often wise and very functional to have multiple ways of providing that recharge. So know what you're doing, know your options, and open those options up by having other available sources.
Inverter, you're going to get the latest model that's coming out in a couple of weeks. It's still a 12,000 watt inverter, but the PV input will take 12,000 watts. Excuse me for breaking into this video and correcting myself. Right now, this inverter will take 18,000 watts of solar panels, 9,000 on PV1 and 9,000 on PV2. The new inverter that's coming out, if you order it now, is capable of taking 12,000 watts on each PV input, totaling 24,000 watts of solar panels.
And so as technology grows and they're able to provide more and more, as we see here, they're building larger capacity units. So if you got just a small off-grid place, you can get a cheaper one. You don't have to buy the most expensive one that's going to have the maximum power output. So again, do your research and get according to what you need and can use functionally.
Now, that would be a lot of power coming in off the roof for an inverter this size. Now, they do make larger inverters. 18,000 watt is also another one that a lot of people like. But I can tell you that a 12,000 watt inverter like this would be able to service most moderate sized houses. This house is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and this system would power this house without any issue. All right, I've wired in our receptacle box here, and I've also wired in our positive and negative coming from our solar panels here into PV1. Now this system is good to go. It can be used as a powerful backup system. The batteries could be depleted, then completely recharged off of the solar panels. This would basically be a self-sustaining system at this point. Now look guys, if you use my link in the description of this video, WattCycle is going to give you $250 off of each battery. That would be a total of $500 off both batteries. And they're going to give you 10% off of the inverter also. I'll leave links in the description of the video for the inverter, the batteries, the bus bars, our T-class fuse here, and even our plug receptacle. You'll be able to click on those links and purchase this entire system if it's something you're interested in. Now, I do testing and installing these systems, and WattCycle is one of my favorites. I do like the quality of the build of their equipment, and the prices so far have been really good compared to the rest of the market. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think.
Yeah, check it out. Check it out. So it's not just WattCycle, but others. And I just pulled this up because it was an interesting video and it speaks on a lot of the points that I want to make in preparing for a life where you don't have to be so dependent upon everybody else, upon a community, where you can be independent and self-serving and still be a steward, doing it right in its most efficient manner. Sometimes takes a little bit more work, a little bit more education, but I guarantee you it's a much better benefit. And with that, we are out. So thanks for joining me. Again, hit the like, share, and subscribe. And if you got any love to share, please help out with a little bit of that through the PayPal link. We are in some financial difficulties because of recent events, and all is appreciated. Thank you kindly.
Step into the light or the shadow it casts. A look in the mirror, stripping the mask. The ego deflects what the id wants to hide, but we find the truth on the edge of the slide. The void isn't empty, it's a canvas of gray, where the ghosts of our bias come out to play. You point at the monster, you point at the screen, but it's only a shadow that's being seen. We sit in the silence where the tension is rife, dissecting the ego with the surgical knife. From the depths of the abyss to the clarity of mind, leaving the noise and the drama behind. High etiquette, held as the ultimate key. This is the Short Bus Podcast TV.